Hey, good Monday morning, everyone. This is Joe. Welcome to my scripture reflection for Monday, July the 3rd. Hope you're doing well on this Monday morning. It is that time of year again where we have a lot of fireworks to celebrate the 4th of July. And quite honestly, some people I think just shoot off the fireworks just to do it. They don't really even care that it's 4th of July. That said, what I would like to just speak to you about for a moment is the effect that it has on our four-legged friends, which can be quite severe in many cases, especially dogs and sometimes cats react very badly to these fireworks. So I'm going to ask you to do a few things and just put it out there for you to consider and really help those situations which could be very dire during these next couple days. First of all, if you have animals, and they are scared of the fireworks, believe it or not, the best thing to do is not do anything at all. If you go over and coddle them and tell them it's okay, you're basically telling them it's okay to be afraid, and they'll continue to be afraid. Just ignore it as if it's not happening. If they don't settle down, hopefully they do, maybe they'll find a safe place in the house. And in certain situations, well, there are certain situations where you may have to do more and maybe get medication for them or whatever. But at least try by not doing anything. If you don't have animals in your home and you are out, please be mindful that they might be out and about and very scared, and keep an eye out for those animals, especially dogs, who may be running away and scared of the fireworks. And if you have fireworks, I'm going to ask you very bluntly, consider not doing them. You're really doing harm to not only animals, but people with PTSD. Enough is enough, I think, and if you have them, maybe just put them away or don't use them. I don't usually get very forward on things, as you know, but in this case, I've seen way too many tragic situations. So please be mindful of our animal friends and how this can really have a negative impact on them. So that's my message for you before the reflection. And I'm going to ask you to quiet your minds and hearts as we prepare to hear from St. John, chapter 20, verses 24 to 29. Thomas, called Didymus, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples said to him, "We have seen the Lord." But Thomas said to them, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my finger into the nail marks, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Now a week later his disciples were again inside, and Thomas was with them. Jesus came, although the doors were locked, and stood in their midst and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands, and bring your hand and put it into my side. And do not be unbelieving, but believe." Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to him, "Have you come to believe because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed." Today is the feast of St. Thomas, Doubting Thomas. About 20 years ago, I was asked to take over the responsibility of leading a very large group of people, some 300 people, in a very big organization. Quite frankly, it was a mess. Nobody followed any rules whatsoever, and I was asked to rein it in. First thing I did was gather the rules that should have been followed, realize that very few, if any, were being followed, and then met with the 10 department heads. The department heads were going to be responsible for implementing rules with these people who worked in this place and got a fair salary. My overall point was that we needed to rein this in, but I realized that we couldn't do it all at once. So I decided there would be some rules that should be followed right away, and some we would wait a couple months and gradually implement them as well. So I mentioned to the 10 department heads what I thought we should follow in terms of a plan, and then I told them this. I said, what I do not want is you to give me what I call the bobblehead syndrome. You know, the dog in the back of the car that sits in the back of the car and the head bobs up and down. I learned that in an earlier business experience, but That is pointless if you're going to bobble your head and say yes and then not implement what I said. I'd rather you have doubts now, air them to me, let's talk about it, and figure it out instead of just saying yes to me. Worked out very well. There were a few people who said, well, maybe we should do this and not that. A discussion ensued, and the best course of action was followed. If you think about it, being a bobblehead really isn't effective at all for us in any walk of life, but especially our faith. And in fact, this is where I think in many cases Thomas gets a bad rap. I think it's better to have some doubts and say, wait a minute, let me think about this. Let me talk to God about this. Let me search my mind and heart about this, than just saying, yep, and following along and really not believing, and then really not in your heart following along. Jesus has big shoulders. If he didn't, he wouldn't have taken on all of us as his children to follow him and for him to inspire. That's a tough enough job as it is. He doesn't want us to do the bobblehead thing. He would rather us have a few questions at times, follow them through our mind and heart in a dialogue with him, and then become that much stronger in our faith life and in every area of life. This too is a very important component of compassion. Compassion doesn't require us to just say yes to everything. Compassion really does make us search our mind and heart first and make sure we are on the right track in self-compassion as well as compassion to others. Well, my friends, that's my message for you on this Monday morning. As always, I hope it was helpful. As always, I thank you so much for following me. I wish you all a very wonderful Monday and 4th of July celebration. And again, remember, please, what I tried to suggest with the fireworks. That's the ultimate in compassion towards our animal friends as well as all of us. Have a great and safe day, everyone, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.